First and foremost, I just want to express my deepest gratitude to Tosin Junaid and his team, the CPPW team. I'm very grateful to be here. It's the first time that I'm teaching in Tosin's class. Tosin is a photographer that I admire greatly. I always say that he's an alumni of the Follow the Light class, but when I see what he has done with his art, I don't take any credit for how much he has grown over the years. I would share a little bit about Tosin, maybe much later as we proceed with the class. But I've been saddled with the responsibility of sharing my creative approach to portraiture. Emphasis on what? My creative approach, not the creative approach. But hopefully maybe I can convince you along the line and make you see reasons why it should be the creative approach to portraiture. It is non-conventional, so to say. If you ask ChatGPT or you go to any AI app and you said, I'm teaching a class on my creative approach to portraiture or the creative approach to portraiture, you would not see some of the things that I'm about to share. What I want to share with you is the not so big a secret. It is a secret because many of us have used so many ways to approach our creativity. This is why it is called a secret, but it is not so much of a secret when you hear it. I'm trying to take us back to the root of creativity and the source of creativity and understanding why we create. It's called the creative approach to portraiture. So there is portrait photography, there is creative portrait photography. You understand? There is normal exposure, there is creative exposure. For everything that we do in this work as photographers, there is something that when you do it, they say, wow, this is creative. It means that it was created. It didn't just happen. It was created. So there should be maybe some steps to creativity that you would put A plus B to create C, right? So what are those steps to creativity? What are the things that you should look out for? What is very, very important to you as a photographer when it comes to creating images? So I asked a question. The first question that I want to ask is, what is creativity? What is creativity? Creativity is the act of turning new and imaginative ideas into reality. It is the art of turning new and imaginative ideas into reality. It is the ability to perceive the world in new ways. And then I ask questions like, what is the most important thing, knowledge or imagination? What is the most important? If you were to choose one of these two, would it be knowledge? Would it be imagination? So I like to have interactive classes. Knowledge or imagination? It's not a trick question. Imagination, okay. Can you imagine beyond a certain well of knowledge? Is your imagination not restricted to how much knowledge you have? It's a question. I'm not saying that that is the right thing. My pastor would always say that the Word of God and the Holy Spirit are like a track and a train. That the train cannot go beyond where the track stops. You understand? So, what is the track and what is the train? So, you want to expand your scope of imagination, invest on the track. So, if your track can go from point A to point B, it is because that is how much investment that you have made on the track. But if that track is endless, then you give the train a lot more leverage and room to what? Reach. So what is the track and what is the train? So imagination for me is more important than knowledge. But knowledge is very, very important because I want to also invest in my knowledge to increase the scope of my imagination. The beautiful thing about the imagination is that sometimes, and in very, very rare occasions, which we would find, that some imaginations don't even need knowledge to try. Creative photography is a technique by which you combine different shapes and colors and forms and ordinary moments and turn them into creative art using your photography skills. This type of photography demands a unique way of seeing things and projecting an innovative image altered from reality. What I picked there is that it demands what? A unique way of seeing things. How many of you remember the days of BlackBerry board? BlackBerry board? Please don't make me look too old. How many of you remember the white and gold dress? Oh, you said blue and black. You see that? That it demands what? A unique way of what? Seeing things. That while some people saw white and gold, others are allowed to see blue and black. And so many other people would see red and pink. But the problem that we have in the creative industry, especially in Nigeria, is that everybody wants to see white and gold. So we follow a photographer's particular pattern to achieving white and gold. And we forget that there are so many other ways to arrive at that solution. It would always demand a unique way of seeing something. This gives credence to authenticity, originality. Creative portraiture involves your authenticity. I want to say that the reason why you are here is because somebody called Tosin Junaid has invested in his originality. There is something that Tosin has that you want to have access to. That's the reason why you're here. Is that over the years he has invested in the way he sees, and whether what he sees is light, color, forms, shapes, whatever. There's something that makes his work very, very original, very, very authentic. I want to say this without necessarily shading anyone, but if you are here and the way you want to grow is by copying other people's work, you cannot grow more than the original. The people that can afford the original would always look for the original. And the people that cannot afford the original will look for every other person. Do you want to be in the every other person bracket? Or do you want to sell and give the world your most authentic self? There are certain things that would happen when you choose to become original. You will spend a lot of time as an inferior. You will spend a lot of time without anybody knowing you. And that is okay. Everybody knows where the fake is. Everybody can identify it. They are able to identify fake because they also know what original looks like. It would always involve a unique way of seeing. So the key to creative portraiture is not so much in technique, because technique is important, but it also involves how you see. So a question that I like to ask is, what do you see? We're going to go through exercises like that. I want to teach you lighting and the techniques of it, but it's not the most important thing. I want to teach you ISO and shutter speed and woo you with all these technical things, and when I finish, you will most likely clap or you will go very empty because I didn't tell you anything new. You can go to YouTube and find all of these things. If I leave here today and I'm achieving one thing, I want to draw you to the source of creativity and help you to also open your mind and your eyes on how to see. That is where you would find the key to creative portraiture. Creativity is simply the ability to make something from nothing. It is the ability to start with only your thoughts and then let them out. Again, we are talking about imagination because it is the ability to start with your thoughts. So you are letting something that people cannot see in your thoughts, and you are letting them out into the world in whatever form you want. The most important thing here is that it is in whatever form you want. So when we ask people what is art, I say that art is what you call it. As long as you are able to justify it, and if it is art to you, it is art. Sell it to me. My role is to buy it. Your role is to believe in it long enough to even call it art in the first place. What is in this image? Or rather, What do you see? 3 people, because we don't have too much time. What do you see? What do you see? If I asked you to use one word to describe this picture, what would the word be? Projection. Sorry? Projection. Projection, okay. Growth, okay. Depth, okay. Let's go back to growth. And I'll tell you the story behind the picture. She's one of my most photographed people. I knew her from, I think, secondary school to university. She worked with me. She got married. I shot her wedding. Maternity, I did the maternity. She's in my life. She's almost become a sister to me. And I titled this image, The Different Phases of Amna. That's her name. You can actually see the projection, you said, progression, the growth. And I created this picture at a time when I didn't even know how to use Photoshop. So it was just a technique that was used. So techniques are important, but I always say that they are not the most important thing. Just the technique of dragging your shutter or zooming in and zooming out when you are shooting at a slow shutter. This quote is one that I like. It says that you cannot discover new oceans unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. The problem is that many of us are very comfortable where we are, and that is why we can't find new things. If you continue to fall in love with the pleasures and everything that comes with being at the shore, you can't discover new oceans. So allow yourself to what? Evolve. Allow yourself to become. Allow yourself to grow. That is the reason why you are also seated here today. You are investing in your art. You are investing in your craft. Allow yourself to discover new oceans. And for you to do that, you must leave the comfort zone. You must leave the thing that comes to you very, very naturally. You must leave the shore. You cannot discover new oceans unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. I have also put the owners of the quotes, giving reference to them, just so that you know that they are not my quote. These are old images of mine. And I asked another question, what do you see? Breaking out. Metamorphosis. What are some of the elements that you see that is prevalent in all the images that are here? Nature, dry leaves. Why is it that that is not the first thing that you saw when I asked you, what do you see? The presence of the human nature gives life to the things that is already dead. But those leaves are dead. But that's not the first thing that you see. The magic is in your eyes, or rather in your sight. There are two different things. Or maybe not your sight, but your vision. Your ability to conceive these images are very, very, very important. You can go to Tosin's page and love all the razzmatazz, but they were once conceived from the inside. So it's very, very important that if you leave this class with anything, I want you to leave with an ability to what? To train your mind, to train your sight, to train your eyes. Creativity is seeing what everybody else has seen and thinking what nobody else has thought. This is an image that was shot in Kano. If I asked you to go and take a picture of the wedding fatia, which is something that Muslims do when they want to get married, it's an event that is usually attended by men. I was in a 2-story building, and I knew, because we were in the king's house, and I knew that the moment we finish the fatia, most of these men would troop in and out of his house. And I had just learned that technique. Uncle Hakim Salam was gracious enough to teach me. So seeing what everybody else has seen is creating a normal exposure of the men that are working. Seeing what nobody else has seen would be, hold on, how would I be able to capture the movement and the motion of the people that are what? Working. It's a very different way of photographing things. Again, an image that was created when I had zero knowledge of Photoshop. Creativity is nothing but a mind that is set free. Creativity is nothing but a mind that is what? Set free. I met this young man, Mr. Revi, in Abuja, and during the time of me getting to know him, he said that he wanted us to create portraits of him, and Revi Sax is his name, so he plays the sax. So if I said create portraits of somebody playing the sax, everybody would photograph him with his sax, and there is nothing wrong with that. You might maybe go the extra mile of styling the shoot, making him wear a very fancy suit and having the sax. But in my mind, I feel like, what if he played the sax in such a way that he was overly passionate about it? Because again, it is not just in the playing of the sax that determine whether people would hire you. It is also how. It is also the charisma. It is also the passion. I want to hire somebody that loves their work enough to express themselves. And then we said, we were trying something. You might know it as stroboscopic photography. It's just a very boring name. But we were trying something at the time, and we said, you know what, just play, go back, we'll freeze him with the trigger, play this way, we'll freeze him with the trigger, do this, we'll freeze him again. All of this is done in one exposure. As long as your shutter stays open, we freeze his different motion. We'll try that today. Hopefully we have time with the model. Creativity is nothing but a mind that is set free. What this is trying to say is that if you inhibit your mind, it will limit how far you go with the creative process. So this one is, you can see my name there. I managed to enter somewhere. You guys have been saying Albert Einstein and the rest, but I just figured maybe I should just chip in something. To experience true freedom in your mind, in your creativity, you must learn to break free from yourself. You must learn to lose yourself and the things that would normally. So maybe there is something out there for me if I decide to shoot yellow, a color that I don't like. Maybe there is something out there for me. So you have to lose yourself, break free from your comfort zone, go out there and just try something. There is magic happening on the other side. It's an image of Akinwumi Brown, a photographer in my office space. At the time, it wasn't my office space. It was just an empty space. And yeah, same technique. I think that this is very important. So why do we create? Why did Tosin have a workshop titled My Creative, what's that? Creative Portrait Photography. Why do you want to create? Notice that I didn't ask you why you are doing photography. There are two different questions. Why do we create? I would have loved to take answers, but again, I'm also looking at my model and checking my time. But this is why we create. Because in the very beginning, God created. There is no other reason outside this reason. There is something that we want so much, we don't realize that we are trying to mimic God. Ecclesiastes says that God has put eternity in man. There is a longing, there is a wanting, there is an emptiness that we would always have outside of God. And we want it to be filled. The only reason we create is because in the very beginning, God created. And when he says, let us make man in our own image, God put his breath in man. So every man here, you inclusive, you have God's given ability to create. When he says multiply, subdue, do this, do that, he has put creativity in you, and that creativity can be in music, it can be in print, it can be in art, it can be in photography, it can be in literature, it can be in anything. But understand the root source of creativity. So when people ask me what is my inspiration, I say God, because I want to create because of him. I understand that I do create because of him. So when I am unable to, I want to go back to the source and find out why. I always want to give credence. A lot of the images that you see on my page were given to me. It's not because I was technical enough to know how to do it. So what is the creative process? Creative portrait photography. What is the creative process? What was the photographer thinking when he made this image? Do you understand that there is God in this image just from looking at it? And everything that we try to do is that we're trying to replicate or imitate God. I had seen something recently, even with some of the creations of either cars or planes, they are borrowing nature. Psalm says that creation testifies of who God is. We take of these things and we're like, let's go and make a car. Let's go and make this. When I look at this image, I remember seeing this image when they came back from Namibia. It's such a beautiful image, but you see the interplay of what God has already done here. What is the creative process? Let me ask you, what is your creative process? Who has a creative process? Anyone? Yes. Do you?
When I'm shooting.
Yes. That's good. That's a process. Okay. Yes. You're a wedding photographer. You talk to couples. Understand their personalities, very important. Vision for their wedding. And you infuse it in how you bring the images out. Fantastic. What are the elements that are present in this image? Let's all look at this image together. The sky, the sand, the trees, the model, the stars. You see all of that. Her outfit. What's very peculiar about her outfit? Is that it blends with everything there. What is the creative process? There are different elements involved in the creative process. I like to take the creative process from Genesis 1:3. You would see that the Bible says that the earth was without form. First thing you must know about the creative process is that once upon a time, you would be empty. The creative process always sometimes starts from a blank canvas. And then there is the point of let there be. And what there was. Which is that the process sometimes will start from a blank canvas and you start to infuse different elements here and there. I'm talking about my creative process. Maybe I'm talking about the creative process. That if we demystify this and break it down, we can take this dress out, we can take the model out, we can take all of this out, we can start from the sky. And then we start to place different elements one after the other. And that is what you see in Genesis 3. Everything that you put in the creative process has a purpose. What was the last creative process for God? What was the last creative process? Rest. Before that, man, right? That everything he made came together and then he put something there or someone there to kind of bring all of these elements there. I want to believe that at some point, maybe she was the last person to just put in the frame. Every other thing was already there. Do you understand? I like to say something when we talk about the creative process, that God made light, and even with light, God called a particular light the lesser light. One to rule and govern the day, and another to what? Govern the light. And that is why even in photography, we say that this one is mood lighting, this one is high-key lighting, this one is low-key lighting. There are certain times that we use light to tell the mood. The sunlight is not an effective way to tell a romantic mood for night. Because when you want to take her out on a date, she's like, I want to see the stars, I want to see the moon, I want to enjoy the waves. Everything in the creative process has a purpose. So you want to create happy, jolly, good feel, then maybe you want more light. Maybe you want brighter colors so that it's all in your face. If you want to create images that are a little bit toned down, maybe you want to go for the lesser lights. Does that make sense? Good. Some of the things that I do with my creative process is consultations. The young man at the back said he likes to talk to his clients. Consultations are very, very good. I think that consultations, if you want to go into creative portraiture, they are important. Don't just shoot people for shooting's sake. Get to know them, get to understand them. Try and get into their mind. People should matter to you if you want to take your portraiture to the next level. You should have a keen interest in people. People are not just sitting down for fine pictures. And even if that is why they came to you, I think your responsibility is to also show them the bigger picture. There's a place I like, it says, I will show you a more excellent way. And still I was here last year or 2 years ago, and she spoke to you guys about love and how she uses love to grow her business. Love for people, love for the art, love for the process. These things are very important. I'm very big on set designs, outfit styling. Before we came here, I was privileged to be at Mr. Oyeleke's opening for Zen, and I saw Tosin there. Like I said, I've been in a different headspace, so as at that time, I had no idea what I was coming to do here. So I just said to Tosin, just give me the topic. Then I saw Shafiq, a friend of mine, we've attended the review together. And I said, maybe you should be my model. You don't always have to wait for perfect things to create images. No disrespect to Shafiq, he's not a model. He's not a perfect muse. He's not 6 foot tall with abs and all of that stuff. But why do we have to wait for these things to be in place before we go out to shoot? The work that you have been called to do is to photograph real people. So make sure that your portfolio is not filled with models. They are not a true reflection of your creativity. Because if I was turning 60 and I went to your page and I see that all you do is shoot models, I might be tempted to call you, but you should be able to replicate that level of work with a 60-year-old, with a 50-year-old, with a 70-year-old. Sometimes, yes, they want clean, but they too want to be nice. If you ever book somebody and they say, I don't know how to pose, what do you tell them? Madam, you should learn how to pose, or at least learn something. No, tell them that's not a problem. There's someone here who will put you through. You don't even need to be a model to get a nice picture. Does that make sense? So you make them comfortable. I have nothing against shooting models. Absolutely nothing against it. But there is the temptation of wanting to build a portfolio or continuing to build a portfolio with people that make my work excellent. And models will make your work excellent. They are good looking. They have the heights. They can inspire you to create because everything is just perfect. If you have ever photographed Oyeleke's wife, you would understand what I am saying. I don't photograph Oyeleke's wife anymore. And she's always fighting me. And I say that the reason why I don't photograph you is because you take the attention from all my work. You can't shoot a bad picture with her. Have you tried it? You can't. Use a phone, use a Nokia 3310, use a D60, whatever it is, the picture will bang. She would inspire you to create art. So I started working with real people and started training my eyes to also see and to create with real people. Because real people pay you real money. And models don't pay you real money. And that's not an insult or a call out. No, it's the reality. If anything, when we work with models, we pay them. But you want to leave this place and get to this place where there is some sort of transaction for your work, right? The marketplace, where somebody can pay you. One day, Tosin was telling me how much they paid him to shoot this techno commercial. I was like, I was just maintaining my steez, but in my mind, I was like, mad. I was just like, you know how you want to maintain your steez, and you're like, yeah. That's a good price you charge them. Maybe you should have even stepped it up. And in my mind, I've not even collected anything like that. It's important that you take your work to where people can transact good money for it. So I have nothing against models, but Tosin doesn't shoot commercials every time. Reality check. So you want to create a diverse portfolio that shows people that, yes, I can work with models. Yes, I can do headshots. Yes, I can work with real people. Yes, I can shoot brides. So that when commercial people are not calling with the big money, there is a room to make money from so many other places. These things are very, very important. But we're not speaking the business of photography today. I'd like to talk about that board. That board no longer exists, technically. We only just deconstructed the board maybe a few weeks ago. But this board, there is a story to this. And what I'm sharing now is not in my slide, but I just thought maybe I should just tell you. And it's the importance of investing in your craft. Many of you here, when you heard the price for this class, you're like, for what? How many of you here sent Tosin a message for discount? Put your hand up. Good. How many of you sent Tosin a message for PSS? Pay small. Put your hand up. I'm like that too. Oh, sorry, I was like that too. When they brought the bill for this board, I said, what? 480,000. Sorry, you're probably saying 480,000 now is small money. This was maybe 6 years ago. 480,000 then was about maybe close to $2,000 when we did this board. This lady, her name is Adao Dili. She's a woman who has invested a lot in my career. When I talk about investment, I'm not even talking finances. I'm just even talking people who just reach out to me, advise me. She bought me 2 big photography books. She's always wanting me to think ahead. She would call Philip de Michelis and all these other big names. She knows her stuff. It was time to do her 40th birthday shoot, and she wanted something different. And she said, Big H, I know that the cost of this board is a lot, but I will hold your hand. Meaning we will meet halfway. At the time, French walls were not an in thing then, so to say. Now it's everywhere. This board has made more than, I don't want to put figures, but if you can think it, you are right. The amount of things that we have done on the board, it gave a platform for more growth. Now, I don't even think about the cost of the board. Investment would always pay itself forward. You're based in Abuja, and you came all the way to Lagos for this class. So the investment that you have made is the cost of your accommodation, your flights, the cost of the class, the cost of the clients who you have turned down in the process of joining this class, and let's just put a rough figure, maybe 2 point something M. That's the cost of the investment. So when you go back, start thinking about how it will pay itself forward. But before you even go back, make the best use of the next 3 to 5 days. If possible, spend an extra week in Lagos, collaborate with some models, do some personal work. Don't just leave the class, go back to Abuja and say the same thing that some guy said after attending Follow the Light. He said, I finished this class, so nobody's even calling me for jobs. Clients are not even paying me money. It doesn't just happen like that. People need to start to see the effects of the work and the class. But I digress. Consultations. This is a sketch that was made by the designer. We also have consultations with clients. We have consultations with the designers, stylists. You want to infuse that in your creative process. I think that it is important to understand that, I don't want to be blasphemous, but God even says, let us make man in our own image. That sounds like consultation, Abi. Yeah? but he consulted with himself. Yes. So it's important for us to infuse this. I work with a lot of mood boards. I have a problem with mood boards because I feel like I don't also want to restrict myself to somebody else's idea. So when I have mood boards now, what I use my mood boards to do is to help clients with their poses. You understand? And sometimes a few lighting tips. What inspires my creativity? God, women, big hair, nature, water, flowers, space, Renaissance paintings, fabrics, veils, paint, Northern Nigerian culture, music. And I feel like I want to add to this list because I made this list about 5 years ago. What are some of the things that inspire me that you see in this set of pictures? Should we go back to the list? Can you see the list? Okay. What are some of the things you see? Women, okay. Fabrics, okay. Sorry, big hair, colors, music. Good. What do you see here? Flowers, nature, colors, okay. What do you see here? You see veil? Yeah, it's also on the list. Yes. Nature, space. I told someone that I used to do a lot of landscape picture before. I think that understanding the things that inspire you to create helps you to create even better. And to understand that, I went on a personal journey, self-discovery journey. So you need to discover yourself. What's your favorite color? Black. What's your favorite color? Huh? Black and pink. Who has two favorite colors? So I have two. Just guess. Yes, you guys are wrong. I was waiting for someone to say red. You're not completely wrong. I say I have two favorite colors. I have a favorite color to wear, which is black or blue. Okay, three. My favorite color is blue. Favorite color to wear is black. Favorite color to photograph are families of red. So I don't like bright red, but you would always see a touch of red somewhere. So I like this color that you're wearing, but maybe toned down. I like this. I like this, but the middle part is too bright. So I try to bring in all of this to the creative process. I like your fit, you understand? White shirt, a shade of brown, and then, it goes with, if you take that jacket off and you wear the jacket that he's wearing, it will still match, you understand? You see that even as photographers, we are deliberate about colors down to how we dress. Why don't we put it in the work that we do? Okay? I'll be rounding up soon. So the question is, what inspires your creativity? How do you transition from point A to B? What inspires your creativity? Anyone can answer. Tolaji, what inspires your creativity? And the person, yes, okay. Good. People, okay. Chemistry, okay. I forgot to put, like I said, I need to update the list. Was pain on that list? Was pain there? Yeah, so there was a time that I was going through a very, very dark time, and it kind of just inspires me to create. So there was a season in my life that when you see my artworks or the pictures that I've done, you could just tell that this guy is not well. I shared my portfolio with someone, and the first thing she said is, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?" A lady came to me, this was even before I started doing birthday shoot the way I'm doing them now, and she was like, "Oh, it's my birthday. I want it to be happy, jolly. I want balloons everywhere. I want pop of colors. I want this." I just looked at her and I was like, "Hey, yeah." And I politely said to her, "I'm not the person that you are looking for." And she didn't come back. Because in that time and in that moment, I had not mastered the art of pretending. I didn't know how to give people what they wanted, because I felt like I needed to have reached there to be able to give them what they wanted. Now I can pretend. I'm chief. So if you want to look at my picture and say, "Oh, now we see a lot of colors," does that mean that there's color in your life? I'll just smile. But yeah, I'm getting somewhere, and we're about to finish. And I wish I have time to go through the remaining slides, because the remaining slides talks about creative storytelling and how to tell compelling stories by connecting with people. Yes, but I don't know if I'm allowed to proceed. Huh? Okay. Light makes photography. This is my favorite quote. It says that embrace light, admire light, love light. But above all, know light, know it for all you are worth, and you would know the key to photography. What this is saying is that there is no photography without light. Darkness covered the earth. The earth was without form. After the Bible says all of that, what was the next thing? It says, and God said, what? Let there be light. Light is key. Whether that light is strobe light, continuous light, natural light, sunlight, or the light that illuminates your heart, whatever it is. If you want to go far with your photography, invest in your knowledge, but not just knowledge, in your love for light. Light reveals itself to the people that love it, and it's something that I've come to understand. I remember that one day I was reviewing a particular picture and I was talking to my friend who's also a very seasoned photographer here in Lagos, and she said to me, Big H, I hear you, I understand you, but just because you see light doesn't mean that the person that you're speaking to sees light the same way that you see light. Light would always reveal itself to you, but you must love light. You must follow light. You must understand light. You must make it a part or an intricate part of your photography journey. And please, when we talk about light, we do not talk about strobes. We do not talk about all these fancy things. We are talking about light. Everything that you see here is borrowed from creation. Why don't you understand the source so that this is just extra aesthetics? I would have talked about this picture, but there's no time. And I'm going to leave all of this for the other teachers to do, because I'm sure Tosin must have captured a little bit about your camera settings, your lighting, the way you choose to modify your lights, and the type of mood that you create in the process of modifying your lights. I've really just put like different light sources here and different modifiers here. So this is a smaller modifier, this is a bigger modifier. They all have the different roles that they play in creating your image. When do you want to use a small light source? When do you want to use a bigger light source? When do you want to use a medium light source? Like that largely depends on the type of image that you are trying to create. Creative storytelling is the art of captivating people with imaginative stories. You're using words and pictures or other methods to be able to tell the story that you want. The title of this class is, I keep forgetting, Creative Approach to Portraiture. And you might think that all we're doing is photographing one person. So what exactly is the story in just taking a picture of one person? So what is the story here? How many people are here? How many people? Huh? When I ask questions in class, they always feel like I'm asking them a trick question. Just look at it. How many people are here? There are 2. So that was a trick question. The person holding this clock is behind her. Why? Why didn't you just give the clock to her to hold? Because we needed her hands to create the V in the veil. So there's someone holding the clock. If she had held the clock, the V would not continue from here to here. It will most likely stop here. But that's not the story. It's not important. What's the story behind the image? Or what do you see? Let's leave what the story is. What do you see? Time. What else do you see?
Time is passing and she's not so happy about it.
Time is passing and she's not so happy about it. And Tola is like, wow. How did you see that? No. We titled this image, The Ticking Tears of Time. What we're trying to show you, the presence of two clocks denotes the availability of a lot of time. Now, once upon a time, we have so much time. And one day we would reflect on what we have done with that time. And the reaction would either be what you see here, maybe a different reaction. So because of this, we started the time series. Now the time series is just to talk about the passage of time. Creative storytelling. It's typically an image of one person, but there is a deep meaning to it. When we had forwarded this image to the client says, you turned a beautiful picture into a very sad image. But she eventually took the frame after 4 years or 5 years. They asked me to breeze through it. So this led to the time series. I want to talk about this. The next story is maybe what I would stop at. The sadder one is the last story. But storytelling in photography is where you use still photographs to tell a story. You can use a series of pictures to tell your story, or you can use a single image to tell that story. You can use photos to tell a whole story from start to the end, or you can give your audience story in fragments. What this is saying is that in some cases, one image is sufficient enough to tell you the story. In other cases, you need a series of images. So let us go through a series. There are 6 images that I want to quickly run you through, but I think we broke it down to 4. Let's see. What do you see in the first image? First image, freedom, interesting. Blossoming, life, strength. We started this class by saying that it is important to what? To expand the way we what? See. I always say in class that if you can't see it, you can't what? Create it. I will go back to the first image. Maybe we should look at the second image. What do you see in the second image? So I have a gift for the person who is going to analyze my last question. Is a light source. So I don't know if Inga, please can you go to where my bag is? You will see my bag. You would see light and a modifier, but you would also see a peach nylon bag. Yes. So what I actually need is everything. Sorry, I was going to say what I actually need is the peach nylon bag, but I just remembered that I don't know who is there, so just bring everything. What do you see in the second image? Pain? Sorry? Silence? Okay. Restriction? Let's go back to the first image. What do you see in the first image? Or rather, what is the difference between the first and the second? There is life and this is muted. Okay, let's go to the next slide. What do you see? She's adapted to. Good. I'll do this quickly. 1, 2. What's happening here? She's free. So Freedom at the expense of what? Freedom at the expense of what? Someone said it. Death. She's lost her life here. She's endured all of it here, to the point that she's become one with abuse. Here you don't see any of that. You see what all brides or everybody wants you to see. I'm happy, I'm glowing, it's my big day. You don't see what happens every other day. You see a little bit of the pain in her eyes, but you also see how she's somehow made peace, like you rightly said, with whatever it is that she's going through. So this is my question for the gift. How have I been able to convey this story in those 4 images? I have a light source here, a very powerful light source that you can use to change shapes and patterns. But I also have the shapes and patterns here. So if I give you this, I would also give you this. And then it comes with a snoot inside. Yes? There is something that I am using to tell this story. First of all, you must identify what story you think I am trying to tell. But there is something from these 4 images that I have used to show the progression of the story. And that thing is in one word. If you know the word, put your hand up. Don't say it. Put your hand up, and I would give you the floor to explain. Yes, sir. One word. No, don't start with anything. Sit down. I didn't say you are wrong. Oh. I need to hear from other people. So just have faith, even if it has a mustard seed. Yes, sir. Sit down. Backdrop. Sit down. Lights. Are you in the class? Did you pay? Is your money complete? Have we met before? You're the one that is always praying for me. Are you the one? That's you, I remember. What is the answer? No, she can't. This one, she's connected to like high places. So I can bet you she will know it. Let's not ask her. Yes. Emotion. Sit down. Okay, let's come to you. Stand up. Have you attended a class that I've done with this before? Good. Explain what you mean by colors. What you're saying is that over a series of images, the colors are toned down as we move from point A to point B. Please clap for her. That is the correct answer. Come. Pay attention to how we have used colors to tell the story that we are trying to convey. There is life here. And not that, thank you very much, congratulations. We said that we are using multiple different images to do what? To tell compelling stories. Okay. What is very interesting about this next images is that it's actually from a wedding. Yeah, it's actually from a wedding. I also try to bring in that level of creativity from portrait and fine art into wedding photography. This is a story of Aino. Aino is the lady in the picture. And please pay attention. So if there's noise, just try and hush. This is not her wedding dress. I have always wanted to photograph Aino. I've always wanted Aino to be part of my veiled and turban series, because I've always admired the way she ties her turban and the way she, adorns her veil. And every time that I say to her, let us shoot, she's always telling me, no, I can't shoot. I'm awkward in front of the camera. I was in London at some point and I found out that she was there. I still reached out to her. We went for dinner together, and all of a sudden, I used the opportunity to still chip it in there that I would really want for you to be a part of this. And she still said no. She's been telling me no for the last maybe 5 years. And then one day I received a call saying, Big H, I'm getting married and I want you to photograph my wedding. And I said, wow, all the things that I never did. This will be the opportunity. We were in a small room. We got to her room and her dress was not ready. Her outfit wasn't ready. This young man says that it's important to have conversations with your clients so that you can have a deeper understanding of what they want. So I know from my many conversations and interactions with her that she's a big fan of Adire. In fact, she is the daughter of Nike Art Gallery. Yes. So I see Adire on the floor. I see some beads on the bed rather. And then I said to her, while we are waiting for your outfit, can we just try something? And she's like, no problem. We had literally a good 1 hour to wait. So we placed the Adire over what she's actually wearing. You can see that this is what she's wearing. And then we put the beads the opposite direction. Why? So that it can actually hold the Adire from falling. And then we used it to do the turban. So I tied the first turban. There's a little bit of editing here, so this is not my work because she had to go back to perfect it. She's very good with that. But that's not the story. That's the prelude. Atinike comes in, and then the moment Atinike comes in, her legs hit the ground. Atinike is at the door. She's here. Atinike comes in and her legs hit the ground. Ekushema, I'm like, your mother. Yoruba people are very big on respect. I've always known that. I just didn't expect that somebody who has spent a lot of our time abroad will still carry and embody that same respect. It was so much so that even all of us in the room wanted to still do the exact same thing. We didn't even know when we had greeted the mom. So I asked her, I would like to do a portrait of you and your mom. And she said yes. Before I left for this shoot, I remember that I was leaving my hotel and I said a prayer because it was such a big day for me and committed everything to God. But I just didn't know that there was a reason why. So this is a normal picture that you would take at a wedding of a bride sitting by the window. And this is an image of this same bride and her mom with a pensive look, thinking about giving her daughter away. Let us go to the next slide. And then the story starts to build. How many of you shoot weddings here? How many of you have created the mother-daughter prayer? Image one, I said, Mommy, pray for your daughter. And when I say pray for your daughter, I want you to bless your daughter. I don't want you to just pray. Just pray and pour blessings on her. And then the mother is standing here and she's praying over her daughter and she starts to bless her daughter in both English and Yoruba. And then the mood started to set. And then something said to me to tell her to do something at the end of the prayer. And at the time, I have never, even up until now, ever said that to anyone before. And I said, I know, bless your mom. She just finished praying for you. So appreciate her for what she has done. And I know it was still, for a good 2 minutes, almost as if she didn't understand what I asked her to do. And Auntie Nike said, Big H, you know that these people do not understand what you are telling them to do. What does she mean by these people? These Oyibo people. They don't understand culture. They don't know the gravity of what you are asking them to do. And in between when she was saying that, Aino's legs goes to the floor and she started to cry. Aino is not an emotional person. Aino says, Mommy, thank you for showing me the strength of a woman. Aino starts to burst into different prayers and gratitude for the mom. There is a photographer here, and the photographer catches the teardrops of the mother. I will get back to that story later. And if you see, or we zoom in, and you will be able to see the different emotions in her face. And we thought that by the time we finished with this was the end of the story. Aino sees her pictures and she says in 30 years of her life, she has never seen her mother cry. And we thought that was the end. So we come over here and the dress is now ready. But we're no longer interested in this dress because we felt like we had already captured the essence of why we came there. The dress doesn't really tell us anything. But the mother had a staff. I forgot to mention that I know of all her kids is the only person that took after her. I know is the only person that loves the exact same things that she loved. I know is a spitting image of Nike Art Gallery. So I asked her, Madam, can I hold your staff? And she said, yes. So I gave the staff to Aino, and I said, Aino, hold the staff. Aino is holding the staff, and I said, Mommy, can I carry you and place you on a platform? She said, yes, you can. And I wanted to create this image, so I thought was the final image of her just overlooking her daughter. Do you understand this image? But there is an importance in the staff. You may not be able to see it in this image, but when you come to this image, you would understand it better. And what was the story of this image? That one day your mother would go into darkness and you would enter into the light. And you would represent everything that she stood for. But I would always be with you. Whether you hold the staff or not, it is even more than that. And this picture is not a technical picture, it was given. How did that light come? Somebody blocked my continuous light and I continued to shoot. And then when I showed her this image, Aino calls me back and she starts to cry on the phone and she says, BH, for the last couple of years, we have been talking about succession plans in my family because we understand that mommy is getting old. And how were you able to tell that story in a small room? Creative storytelling. You can tell it in one picture, you can tell it in a series of images, but your image should convey lots of different emotion. One of the things that we learn in class is that if your image evokes emotion and a response, then that is a good image. And there is nothing wrong with shooting beautiful, nice wedding pictures, but you would find me here somewhere in between all of this. This is what my heart yearns for, to be able to go deeper in my knowledge of the work that I am doing, deeper in my understanding of the people that I am photographing. I want more. And that's why we said it is very important to connect to what? The source. And someone says, there are some images that are given to you. You did not create them. Okay? It's a very similar story, very similar experience. This is something called the Kaulu. And on her wedding Fatiha day, I said, Mommy, please pray for your daughter. If you're a Muslim here, you will understand that Muslims don't spend too much time when they pray. But I specifically asked her to take her time. Bless your daughter. And she stood there, and she knelt there rather, and she continued to say so many different things. The next time I share this, I will share the opposite side of it, which is that we went back to this family to shoot another of her daughter who got married last month, and they brought this image and they said, recreate this image. And guess what happened? In that moment, it wasn't her, the bride, who was crying. It was the mother that was inconsolable. And it just showed the affection that she had for that particular daughter that was getting married. For many years, I've always wondered how to capture droplets of water or teardrops. And many times in my sleep, I would imagine myself putting a backlight behind the subject just to capture these things. And on that very day, as if we kind of knew what was going to happen, or we were just positioning or preparing ourselves for what was going to happen, I asked Boniface to put a backlight, and lo and behold, she started to cry. That was how we got this image. When the client saw this picture, the client said, Big H, of all the pictures that you have taken of me and my husband and everybody in the wedding, this is the one that I want to frame in my house. Creative storytelling. Do not shoot what it looks like, shoot what it feels like. Don't just shoot what is in front of you. Go deeper in how you want to translate and bring out the image. This is an image of a friend of mine I'm breezing through. Her name is Miriam. I've lost contact with her. She's from Egypt. I met her through Instagram, and many years ago, she would come to me at Peninsula Hotel in Lekki, and I noticed that Miriam liked to talk. We said earlier that it is important as a portrait photographer that you learn to connect with people. Sometimes you should be that person that they can freely share, and she just likes to talk. Many people that are talkatives are suffering, but you actually think they are just talkative. But if you paid attention, you would see, you would notice, you would understand what they are trying to say. And I put her in front of my window. She said so many things, from her father passing to cancer, to the fact that she can't stop dating Christian men because she just likes Christians, and she feels that if she dates a Muslim guy, her parents will kill her. She said so many things to her mom going through. She said a lot of things. And it just felt like she wanted to escape from the reality of what it is that she was going through at the time. So I said to her, Zainab, Miriam rather, look at the window and then come out of yourself. Again, the same technique that we spoke about earlier. One exposure, and we're able to get this. Don't shoot what it looks like, shoot what it feels like. Always try to make connections with your subject. I'm going to breeze through this. It's one of my favorite maternity shoots. She reached out to me and she said, Big H, I want you to shoot my maternity shoot. And I said, when are you due? She told me the date. And I said, maybe we should shoot your baby when your baby is out. Everybody's doing maternity shoots. Maybe we should do a mommy and me shoot. And she said, yeah, maybe we should do that, but I want to tell you a story. Embrace the idea of asking your client, what is your story? Even if it is a birthday shoot, even if it's a casual shoot, whatever it is. So many times people want to tell stories with those images that you are taking. So I asked her what the story was, and she said that she's been married for many years and she hasn't been able to conceive, and she gave the many reasons why. Her husband has an intestinal problem, she has this, and she feels that out of the many challenges that she's been through, as though she's gone to hell and back, and this is the price of what she came out with. It's a very sad picture because it's a portrait of my mother, but of not my mother. It's a story that I'm trying to tell with my mom, but with somebody else. In my family, we've experienced all manner of loss. My father passed, my sister passed, my brother passed. And every time I look at my mom, I feel the pain that she goes through. And in this image, you can clearly see the message that I am trying to pass across. Another flower. That's what they do when people pass away. My friend passed away recently, and I went to buy flowers to take to her mom. It doesn't matter how well those flowers smell. They don't want to see it. Another flower. And she holds her child, and this child holds on for dear life, and you still see some sort of strength in her face. It's almost to say, like, I have been here before. When is it going to actually end? This image is inspired by a painting that my late brother did so many years ago of Mary and Jesus. The background of the image is red. Mary is painted in blue, and Jesus was a nude tone. And I asked him to explain the picture. He said, the red in the background denoted the rage that Mary felt at the loss of her son. And then you can see fire and everything behind that just shows rage. You can see a little bit of it in her face. And then the pain that she feels at carrying her own child. I said that the next time that I would share this story, I'll put the actual painting that my brother painted many years ago. Why did we create this image? We created this image because at the time my brother had just passed. The same person who made that painting, and he was my mother's favorite child. And it was just 10 years after my father had passed, and we started to remember everything that my mother went through when my dad passed. And we were feeling like we don't know if Momsi would survive it. Again, you are saddled with the responsibility of not just taking pictures, but creating compelling images, telling stories, whether they be happy, whether they be sad, whether they be images that you are using to get foreign aid for a particular sect of people, whatever it is, they are not just images. Even with things like family portraits, pre-wedding, you don't know how long that person waited for love. So that pre-wedding should not just be a fine picture. Avoid this thing that we all do as photographers, where we use clients to show how gifted we are. We do it. I am also guilty of it. But your work with people should not just be about your gifts. They have picked you for a reason. Go deeper than just expressing your gift. Find stories. Connect the dots if you must. Find connections. Find the true story behind why those images are important. They can continue. They can continue. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. I like to say, I am not a lawyer. It was just a portrait that I took after shooting a call to bar, and I just thought it would be nice to put it. But I'd like to apologize that I did not answer the question that I was asked, which is the act of creative approach to portraiture. Just really like to share from my heart, and this is me. You will find me somewhere between the slides. I want to always make sure that I'm drawing people back to the original source of the creativity, because I do understand that it is a gift. I do understand that it is not something that I own. I also understand that it is not something that I found on the way. It was something that was given. And just like with many of you that are here, we all have gifts. I pray that in the expression of our gifts, we always give credence to the person that gave us the gifts. Thank you very much. God bless you.